Hello everyone, my name is Radovan Vojtko, I'm CEO and Head of Research at Quantpedia. Today I have a special content for you. So approximately a year ago we wrote an article. We reviewed whether we can use the ChatGPT as a quantitative analyst. The article was written in March 2025, so it's over a year from the article. A result of our analysis was that ChatGPT or Claude or all of the LLMs at the time were not useful as quant analyst or junior quant analyst yet at the time. 12 months are a lot of the time in the machine learning and LLMs and all of the things that are happening in AI. So we decided to review the article and run the analysis once again.
Unlock the power of Quantpedia Pro with over 900 premium strategies extracted from 100,000 research papers and more than 30 quant reports. Model full portfolios, generate real-time reports and save hours of work. Quantpedia Pro, your edge in quantitative investing.
We once again explored whether we can use ChatGPT as a junior quantitative analyst. That was the goal. We were testing the ChatGPT 5.4 version, but it gives the very similar results to Claude. I think it's Claude 4.6 or something like that. I do not remember exactly what is the current state-of-the-art model from the Anthropic. However, for quantitative analysis, all of the models are plus or minus the same, so the competitors are very close to each other. The question is whether the current state-of-the-art is useful and if you can use it as a junior quant. A year ago, we encountered numerous challenges. We had a lot of the problems ranging from the model hallucination, faulty code generation, excessive overfitting, problem with the data loading, etc. etc. There were a lot of the problems, and actually a year ago, when we tried to do some work in LLMs, in ChatGPT or any other, we spent more time debugging the code than by actually writing the code by ourselves. So it was not worth to pursue this idea. Time has changed. So what was the goal? So our goal was to find a trading model for EEM, for emerging market ETF. So the prompt looked like this. I need to test your capabilities as a quant analyst. I will upload your Excel file with the data, equity curves of 4 ETFs, EEM, SPI, EF, and GLD. And we will build a daily trading model that trades specifically EEM, ETF. The model can use only data provided by me and give me 10 ideas for trading strategies that can be built with the use of the data I provided you. They should be swing trading strategies, so holding period only a few days. So that was the prompt that we asked. It was the first prompt. It's a good idea to ask LLMs directly for multiple models or multiple ideas for trading strategy. This is our observation. We are doing it very, very often. In this case, it is not a good idea to ask ChatGPT to give you one model. It will usually settle on something very, very average. So if you ask ChatGPT or Claude for multiple different models, it will give you 10 to 15 models and ask how many you want. But from those, then you can use your human judgment and pick something which is creative, interesting for you. If you ask for just one model, usually it's something that's very, very average. It doesn't make sense at all to use ChatGPT for that. Okay, so we asked for 10. The initial proposal to generate EEM trading strategies gave us a lot of different trading strategies, from momentum to short-term leadership rotations, some reversals, cross-market lead leg signals, etc. etc. So the first thing is that ChatGPT proposed 10 distinct strategies. Now, the manually evaluating each of them can be time consuming, so we asked also ChatGPT to backtest all of these ideas using our data. Here we saw real difference compared to the results 1 year ago. Yeah, the code was significantly cleaner, the backtest was better. Then what we did is that we asked ChatGPT to run the backtest, and then we got back to ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to check out its own code, whether there are no faults or no problems or no typos. And ChatGPT was able to encounter one problem, was using the 1 day old data instead of using the data at the end of the day. So it was artificially adding 1 day lag into the data, which is conservative, but do not need to do that for building the trading strategy, and fixed its code itself. So this was a strong plus point for ChatGPT ability. After checking the performance, we focused on 2 trading approaches. So the first one was risk on, risk of regime trigger, and then mean reversion versus global basket. So there were 2 strategies that we liked from the strategies that ChatGPT suggested. However, our idea then was to ask ChatGPT to come up with expand on those strategies. However, here's the first problem. ChatGPT likes to run optimization or over-optimize the trading rules. So if you ask ChatGPT to improve improve the model, what it usually does is that adds degrees of the freedom. So it adds more filters, extra trading rules, extra exit rules, etc., etc. So the underlying strategy is not more robust, but on the other hand, it's more fragile. And this is probably the biggest problem with the current version of the ChatGPT. If you are trying to build a trading strategy. So instead of understanding the trading strategy from the higher level, what we are trying actually to accomplish, ChatGPT is trying to increase the scope of what the trading strategy is trying to do. So it's adding more and more trading rules. So the trading strategy is more and more fragile. It's not robust. This is the problem that we see. The current version is definitely extreme upgrade in comparison to the analysis that we ran approximately a year ago, because we can believe the numbers more. However, the resulting strategies, if you leave the ChatGPT to give the suggestions, are less robust. If you would like to run trading analysis or any quant analysis, what we really recommend is that you as a human are in charge. So it means that you are guiding ChatGPT. After every prompt, you are telling ChatGPT what to do, and you are taking the suggestion from ChatGPT with the real grain of the salt. It means you are not taking the recommendations and you are guiding it by yourself. So ChatGPT is useful as a junior, but as a junior, if you leave it without any supervision, it will go absolutely to the direction that you do not want. So what we actually did is that we tried to write trading strategies that have less degrees of the freedom. So instead of using 4 or 5 that the ChatGPT suggested, we simplified the trading strategies to just use the 2 degrees of the freedom, so look back period and the holding period. And then we ran the robustness test, so to see all of the versions, how they perform. We can see that on average, the strategy performs well. Then we let ChatGPT to draw the conclusions from all of the equity curves that were produced, and it was able to analyze them pretty well. It split the strategies among those that are performing better and those that are performing worse, and why they are performing better and why they are performing worse, which are the better look back periods, which are the better holding periods, why they did so, etc., etc. So it's able to draw conclusions from the data very well. Then we ran some robustness testing. So we changed the underlying ETFs from EEM to SPI to check whether the trading strategies are still working on SPI as well as on EEM. Then we changed the assets from which we produce the signal. So we tested different signal assets, so not just EEM itself, but also the US dollar and SPI, so to check out the robustness and which assets are better for predicting, which are worse for predicting. Then we checked what are the times when the strategy performs well, what are the times when it doesn't perform well, etc., etc. So at the end, we come up with the strategy that's quite robust, I would say. We are using the short window, 2 or 3 day drawdown. So in case there is 2 or 3 negative days in EEM performance, plus there is up days in the EEF performance, we are buying the EEM, so we are buying the emerging markets. If we can translate that, so what does it mean? So we are buying short-term reversal when there is a very short-term stress. So if there is a 2 or 3 day correction in the emerging markets, and at the same time there is a jump in the price of the fixed income or government fixed income, so what does it mean is that at the same time there is a decrease in the 10-year yield. This is the signal for buying the EEM for a short period of time, for 1, 2 or 3 days, and we are diversifying among multiple versions of the strategy. This is the idea for the final strategy. It has relatively nice equity curve. It outperforms the benchmark, so it has better performance, better Sharpe ratio than the underlying EEM ETF, so just holding the ETF. Overall, we are really satisfied with the strategy. So what is the takeaway? Our goal was not to find the best performing strategy. It was to assess whether we can use the LLM as an assistant in our backtesting task. And the question is, can we use it finally? And we would say yes. So we finally can use the LLMs as a quant analyst, junior quant analyst. Technology is not without the faults, but it actually provides a net benefit. So we can invest our time into LLM assisted research and we will come up ahead. So what does it mean? Both in terms of speed and net productivity. We would invest some time, but we will get more work done. And it's actually better than it was 6 to 12 months ago, because 6 to 12 months ago, we would invest the time and we will come up with something that would not be a bad strategy, but by repairing all of the problems from LLMs, we would spend more time than actually running the backtest by ourselves and writing the code ourselves. This is not the case. Here, we can spend less time and actually have a good result. However, here comes the catch. In a lot of the steps, the LLM tried to help us with the robustness testing, with anything. It had the tendency to over-optimize the strategy instead of testing robustness. So it kept suggesting steps that were adding degrees of the freedom to the strategy, more filters, etc., etc. And we knew what we wanted from the backtest. However, if you were just simply following the suggestions from the LLM, we will end up with a really fragile strategy. So if you know what you want to do, the current version of the LLMs, they can speed up your backtesting, they can speed up your process, but you need to know what you are doing. You cannot rely blindly on suggestions from LLM. So do not do it without the supervision, without the human supervision. Cannot do it. And I cannot imagine myself to do it in a loop. This is not just the case for ChatGPT, in this case also for the other LLMs. We tested also the Claude, we tested some agents, so we try to give them the task and let them run in the loop, etc., etc. Results were unsatisfactory. So what does it mean is most of the time what the agents or LLMs that were running in the loop found were some fragile strategies that were really not robust. So from our experience, we know that if we took that strategy that was suggested by LLM or by agent and we try to run it live, it will break out in the next 3 to 6 months, definitely. Because we saw thousands and thousands of backtests and thousands of strategies, and we know, how does it look like out of the sample, and they were not robust. But if you would work as a human supervision and you will supervise LLMs in each step, it's a boost for productivity. Definitely. So I recommend to try it. It can boost your productivity, really. So thank you very much. I hope that you liked this video. For all of the details, feel free to read our article. There is significantly more than what I just said in this video. And try ChatGPT or Claude or other assistants by yourself. You may be surprised that they are significantly better than they were 12 months ago. Give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and visit Quantpedia. We have like 1,200 or 1,300 at the moment trading strategies with the backtest, without those sample tests. We are really good at this and we know what we do. If you look for ideas, you can also try to use Quantpedia. So thank you very much and have a nice day. And I hope that you will join me in the next video.
Are you interested? Then pick another video to learn more, or subscribe to Quantpedia Pro and try how our analytics and reporting significantly save time spent on quantitative research.